What is up? Welcome back to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and Travis Mangone. And Travis, usually on Tuesday we can take our time with these games, but boy, the NBA loaded us up today. How are you?
Yeah, not a huge fan of the 12-game slates, but hey, this is where we're at. If you see my really, really bad goggle tan, I went skiing this weekend. It looks real bad, so you don't mind that. But I'm excited to talk about the games. I played a little bit this weekend, but I kind of had a nice break, and I'm not gonna stress this week too much. Quick time to note, like bankroll management's always good. You don't have to push this week. I know there's a big millie today, so like if you want to fire the $3,000 to win a millie, go for it. I will not be doing that. But yeah, it's going to be a fun slate. Ownership spreads out, so it should be interesting. I'm excited to kind of break it all down, and it should be a good one.
All right, Tyler. We're going to try and be quick and efficient today, but boy, a lot of NBA news this weekend. Was there anything you wanted to touch on today, or do you think we should just jump straight into the slate?
I think we should just jump straight in. We got 12 games. It's the last
All
week
right.
of the NBA, so we got to tear it up.
All right, so the people who just want the picks are going to love it because we're tabling the hot takes for later in the week and jumping right in. The Cleveland Cavaliers in Orlando taking on the Magic. Magic +8 at home here. Total of 221, minus 335 on the money line, plus 282 coming back for the Magic. And boy, the Magic, of course, tanking. They've lost 7 in a row, I think, right? So they're fully committed. The problem is the Cleveland Cavaliers have lost all those games in a row, and they are not tanking. They're just falling in the standings. Obviously, an excellent opportunity, to get ahead tonight because of the way the new NBA lottery rules work is so. I think the top 4 all have the same chance for the pick, but what they're angling for now is if you have bad luck and you fall out of the top 4, right? Then the worst record gets 5th, 6th, etc. So. A lot of these teams, we've seen some pretty bad lineups towards the end, and I would expect that again from the Magic tonight. It's tough to take the Magic when we know that they're going to do that. Travis, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, anything Magic related, I don't know if I want to approach. I've been doing my best to stay away from them. So that's one game I'm not super excited about. They are like they are getting more shorthanded, but this is definitely not a spot that I'm not interested in. So overall spread, I would say like it's a 12-game slate. We're going to move past some games. Sure, you can make arguments that RJ Hampton's kind of interesting. Like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Cavaliers, they have to play like a pretty tight rotation here because they're trying to make the playoffs. Moses Brown at 4-8, like he's intriguing, but like on a 12-gamer, do I need to do it? If he was 3-2, sure, but I'm just not that excited. The only guy I'm really kind of looking at is I think Darius Garland at 9-6 could kind of have some interest just because he's a stud in a game that I expect them to win, should play a pile of minutes, and he could be a contrarian guy at the top, but there's way better studs on this slate for sure.
Yeah, and Tyler, I don't love this game, but it's kind of tailor-made to the strategy that you've really adopted this season because I would argue, I don't want to lay 335, but it almost seems short against the Magic team that we know will kind of tinker with their lineups to negative effects if they are doing well. Seems like this is ripe for a player performance double. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, and they give up the most threes to point guards. They give up I think it's the 3rd most points to point guards. This is the perfect spot for Garland just to eat them up. I think they win the game. They should cover the 8.5, but that's a pretty big number. I don't want to lay it and get backdoored. That performance double for Garland to hit 3+ threes, which he's done in every game against Orlando this year, and them win is +140. I like that one. You could do his 25+ points at +160. You could do his 5+ rebounds, which I'm not a big fan of, at +240. Or if you think he gets all the way up to 30 points, it's +380. But my favorite's the 3+ threes.
Yeah, and you mentioned he's in that every game against Orlando. I forgot to mention in the opening that the Cleveland Cavaliers have also beaten Orlando in the 3 times that they faced so far. Or maybe it's only 2. Excuse me, I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3, but they are undefeated against them so far this year. Travis, anything more on this one, or do you want to move to a more exciting game?
Yeah, no, let's move on over to the next one. Nothing really to talk about here.
All right, Philadelphia 76ers -11 in Indiana taking on the Pacers, 234.5. Here is our total, +467 if you want to get crazy with that Pacers money line. But I would think that's going to be crazy because the Pacers are another team that's kind of just angling. This is one of their first lottery picks, I think, or it'd be first top 10 pick if everything shakes out. since like the 80s. So they definitely want this draft pick here. They're going to tank their lineups as well towards the end if things are going well here. Pacers are weak against all big men, but now they're going against, arguably the best big man in the league in Joel Embiid. So another one where I think it's ripe for Tyler's player performance doubles because I don't want to take the Pacers here and I don't want to lay 11. But Travis, I think this one's at least a little more interesting on DFS, right?
Yeah, the Pacers game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it can be. It always depends on news of the Pacers, right? That's a team that's like been really up and down with guys sitting. Joel Embiid, let's just like kind of get him out the way because whenever you have Joel Embiid in a game against a team that struggles against big men, well, he's in play, but he is 12K. So the argument can be made like, okay, do you want to play Joel Embiid at 12K or do you want to play Jokic at 12.5 against the Spurs in a game that feels like it has a little bit more meaning and might not blow out? So like, just depends on what you're doing there. I think that Embiid is in play, but not a priority for me. Definitely a good option that you can go to on this slate if you have the money. Value is going to be what matters the most. So we have to look at that. I don't really know what the Pacers are doing. Like TJ McConnell is randomly questionable. So like, I mean, if he plays, that's obviously going to muddy some stuff up. And in general, I just think this like Pacers team is now a pretty good stay away spot. If it was a shorter slate and we didn't have as much value, I'd consider it. Like, and if they're still shorthanded somehow, Terry Taylor at 4-4 as a starter, it's appealing, but do I need to do it? No, not on this slate. Definitely not something to prioritize. And overall, like those first two games were 7:00 games. I'm not saying I want to backload for like a bunch of games, but we do have Brandon Williams who's questionable for the Blazers. That is kind of an intriguing game. We've been playing some Thunder and Blazers guys, even though the prices have gone up a bit. But overall, the point I'm getting at is I don't think there's many must plays in these first couple games. There's a couple good ones to spend up on, but there's not a bunch of like value plays that I'm just jumping to play.
All right. And Tyler, you put you on the spot here. Our guy, We the People, who's excellent at what we talked about, finding value player performance doubles. He says they're priced out here. Do you agree? And if not, what do you like?
I mean, if you want to get on Joel or James Harden, they're pretty much priced out. Mm-hmm. Unless you want Philly at like basically even money, you could do the Harden double and win at -110. Embiid 35 plus and wins +130. I don't want that for 35.
I don't like either of those.
Yeah, the only ones that like catch my eye that maybe I would bet is Maxey 3+ threes and win at +205, and him 20+ points and win at +210. Those are the only ones I would target.
I kind of like that one. So let's say I don't want to put too much on this one though. So let's say I chose one. Would you say 20+ or 3+ threes? My original lean is 20+, but obviously you do a lot more research than I do.
I would lean more towards the threes.
Okay.
And he just doesn't play defense on the guards very well. He could just be standing.
I mean, where do they play defense well?
Exactly. So like, the worry about Embiid is like he just doesn't get the run to get there. But Maxey could just be shooting a ton of threes tonight off a Harden pass setup. So definitely like his threes better.
All right. Agree with you there. And Travis, we're ready to move on, right? Let's jump right in. The Atlanta Hawks are +4 in Toronto, taking on the Raptors. Raptors -4 here. Total 226 +165 for the Hawks on a money line. All right. Now here's a game that I like. Okay. The Hawks, right? A team definitely coming together towards the end of the season, and both teams have something to play for. A quick look at the standings right now. The Atlanta Hawks are 41-37 in 8th place. A game and a half behind Cleveland, a full game ahead of Charlotte. Toronto is 45-33 in 6th place, and they are tied with the Bulls. So they can move up to 5th with a win, and very unlikely that Cleveland catches them. But of course, a win tonight could make that all but impossible here. So we have both teams that are trying to win. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a playoff atmosphere because it's not like desperation, do or die for both teams. But we should be getting, full effort, strong rotations. And we know our guy, Nick Nurse, does that anyways. So I'm setting up to say that number one, I think this game will be competitive. Number two, I think this game stays close. So I think it's better for those player performance doubles and for DFS purposes. And three, I like the Toronto Raptors. I'm laying the 4 here. I just think they're the better team, and they have the ability to stop Atlanta on the perimeter here. So, right, where am I worried about here on taking this play? I'm worried Capella has a big night, right? I'm worried they get loose inside. Maybe Okongwu, shows up and has one of those real efficient outings, right? Like 12 points in 12 minutes or, something to that effect here. Maybe Gallinari, remembers that he can play down low as well. But I like the Toronto Raptors. Travis, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Toronto's a bad side to be on here. The Hawks are definitely a little banged up. It just depends who's in. I think that's going to matter a ton, right? We have Bogdanovic who's questionable, Gallinari's questionable. Like, those are some big ones. I mean, Bogdanovic just soaks up so much usage for that team. Betting-wise, I don't mind to be on the Raptors, though. I think that's fine. Not super excited about the Hawks yet. I know they've been playing some great basketball, though, it seems, as of recent. But DFS-wise, like, one reason, again, I'm, like, not, like, itching to play these Magic guys, which, like, they're fine. And obviously, if Wagner's out and Suggs is out, maybe that'll change my opinion on some of these Orlando values, but like these Hawks values could be really good plays. And we could have the opportunity to be rostering some pretty good options on the Hawks. I mean, if you look at this team, like Okongwu, he's 4-1, but he's definitely a guy that if like a Gallinari's out, well, like I know him and like Capella, they split a lot of minutes, but Toronto does play big. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them somehow match up a little bit together. And if you're struggling for value, like Okongwu could pop up as someone that's interesting. I think DeAndre Hunter at 4-8 with all those guys out could be a really good play. DeLon Wright, I think naturally becomes the secondary ball handler at 3-8 becomes a good play. Kayvon Herter, I always love rostering him, 5-2. Definitely could get some opportunity here. There's just a lot that you can, I think, get exposure to on the Hawks side that you'd be interested in. And it's also going to likely be a pretty competitive game. Toronto 4.5 favorites. So overall, this is a game I'm definitely looking at, but I'm not jumping to roster yet. I need to know what the injury status is of some of these guys, right? It's just really important. Bogdanovic, Gallinari, those are the two ones that I'm kind of trying to figure out. If Anunoby's in, like I'm not excited to play many Raptors, but if he's in, then like that really just takes a lot of those Raptors out, in my opinion. So not looking to jump on those guys that much. Again, this slate is one of those that I think as the slate goes on, you're going to have some more news that develops. The Spurs value some of the better values on the slate. So we got some other values later on that we're kind of working towards.
All right, Tyler, I like the Raptors here. Travis just broke down the game from a DFS perspective. The perspective brought to you by RunPureSports.com. Promo code GetBets. Join it. But Tyler, what do you think of taking the Raptors -4?
I need to know if OG Anunoby's in first. If
you
he's
really
in,
think it matters?
Yeah, I mean the games.
Obviously, I like it better, but
when they started the roll recently, he's been in the game, so I think it really matters. They weren't playing good before that, so 100% think it matters. He's in. Give me the Raptors, but these guards for Toronto are just going to eat on Trae Young, so they aren't going to be able to hide him on the shooting guard because then Trent has a big day. So I think they'll leave him on Fred VanVleet. I like his points plus assists over 25.5. He's cleared that number in the 3 matchups they've played against Atlanta this year. I think he could do it again right here after he played a good game against Miami 2 nights ago.
Okay, so a couple things you said. First of all, let me ask you. So you think Anunoby's that important? So let's say I text you 20 minutes after the show and I say, hey, Anunoby's out. You would bet the Hawks +4?
I wouldn't bet it. I'd just stay away from the side.
Okay.
I'm not saying it would flip my whole side, but if he's in, I think they cover the 4. I think they win easily.
The other thing I want to point out is him and Fred VanVleet missed a lot of time together, right? So while Anunoby moved back, right, VanVleet came back, like a week or something before that, right? So a lot of times they were both out when the Raptors weren't playing well. So that's why I personally like it regardless, right? And I almost think that so let's say you're like me, you take it now. Do you think if he's rolled in, the line moves? Because I do.
Yeah, I think it goes up to maybe 5.5. I mean, I understand what your logic, like taking it now, because you look at their 5 games that they've won. They're 5-0 straight up and ATS their last 5.
Yeah,
but they beat Brooklyn, Cleveland, OKC, Indiana, and Golden State. Like
that's not that bad.
But it's not that impressive. It's not that impressive either.
Brooklyn's a good win.
But you beat 2 guys and you let those 2 guys go for a combined 80-some points. Like, I mean, you beat their role players.
The Bucks to the end, and we all like the Bucks to win the title.
That was last year, spread. This is a new year.
No, I'm talking about when they played last week.
Oh, I mean, that's that game. The Hawks are a little deeper than the Nets, so I think they had the advantage there. The Nets are just more top heavy. And Golden State's not an impressive win. Cleveland's all banged up, and the other 2 are lottery teams.
Okay, so throw the 2 lottery teams out, and I guess you're right. Cleveland's arguable. I still don't think Golden State's like we throw that one out like we throw out an Indy win or an OKC win. I mean, they're at least trying to win. Jordan Poole, Draymond Green. I mean, they've shown flashes out there. So, okay, well, hopefully Anunoby's in and we can be on the same side on this one, huh? Anything more on this one, Tyler, before we move on?
No, that's it. The only other things I would bet was like Van Fleet's 20+ and win, or like Siakam double and win.
All right. I love to see this, man. Feeling like Paul Revere because we, the people, and I are on the same side. He says Toronto by 10 tonight. All right. Travis, anything more on this one before we move on?
Nope. Move on to the next one.
My guess is this one's going to be quick, Travis. The Houston Rockets plus 17 in Brooklyn, taking on the Nets. Total of 244.5 plus 11.24 on the money line here. Let me double check. I mean, it's not like a crazy injury report either. Why is this line so high? I don't get it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like I kind of like Houston getting the 17. As crazy as that
17. This line should be like 11. I thought when I saw the 17, I said, is Jalen Green out? KPJ? I thought all of them were out.
No, I mean, I'm definitely a little confused by it. Sure, like the Nets, I mean, they're obviously a great basketball team. Oh, I shouldn't say they're obviously a great basketball team. They have very talented players at the top, and I expect them to be like decent in the playoffs, but maybe it's fool's gold. We'll have to see. I do think that Vegas is saying that they buy the Nets and they think that they're gonna, get the job done tonight. Andre Drummond is 6'8", and that's like a hefty price tag. And if you do think the game blows out, is there a chance Nick Claxton just gets like a pile of run where like he gets like maybe like 24 to 28 minutes and like Drummond only gets 20 minutes? And like that against Rockets, like centers against Rockets has just been smashing it. He's 4K. So like in tournaments, I think Nick Claxton is kind of a sneaky option that you can go to. Bruce Brown's price has gone down, and with no Seth Curry, that's kind of nice at 5'3". The only problem is I kind of like him more in those competitive games, so that's one of the concerns. The nice thing about rostering Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant is they're going to have a lot of usage because Patty Mills is in the starting lineup, and Patty Mills does nothing. So you can obviously make an argument that Kyrie and KD can have some big games. I typically want those games to be closer and competitive, but can they be studs that go off? Yes, they can. You can mix and match them if you'd like to. I do think Kevin Porter Jr.'s price is still worth buying, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, 8.3K, yes, it feels like a lot, but if you look at his game logs, I mean, let's see, the Portland game, I don't know if that's when it first started, but they've had this like guard-heavy rotation of just KPJ and Jalen Green for a while. I mean, they just don't have any backup guards. The only backup guards that they have are John Christopher. So, like, these guys have to play a pile of minutes every single night. So Jalen Green at 7'4" and KPJ, I think they're in play, even if you think the game does blow out, because they're just going to play most of the game. Yes, maybe they lose some run at the end. Yeah, that could happen if it does blow out, but also they could be down like by like 11 and keep those guys in and just try to fight and get back in the game just because they're young players that they're trying to develop. So I think KPJ and Jalen Green, they might not be the sexiest plays, but I think they're definitely in play on this slate. So I would not completely ignore them. And I get Sengun at 6'7". Like, his usage is so good, you could make an argument for him, but I'd rather invest my money in KPJ and Jalen Green rather than Sengun right now, mainly because of the positions. And like on this slate, I just see Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., like, they're not going to lose minutes. They're going to get so many minutes where there's just a nice floor ceiling combination that I just don't want to completely ignore. So also, if you do play like a KD, I don't hate the idea of running back like a KPJ with it. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea. Yes, KD could get there in a blowout and KPJ could do terrible, but it's definitely, if you think this game is closer than the line says, well, then I think it's not a bad way to build.
All right. And Tyler, I know there's one thing you're going to agree on, and that's Jalen Green, right? You sent me some tweets, and I don't know him off the top of my head, right? But he's been crushing, right? I mean, he went over 34 times in March, and I mean, the numbers you sent me, I can't remember off the top of my head, right? But the shooting percentages, his effectiveness was up, and the usage is there. So talk to me tonight. I like the Rockets plus 17. I agree with Mangone. I think that he would be a building block for a lineup tonight. I don't see how you stay away from this guy. How are you approaching this, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Houston or pass. There's no way you can lay 18 with the Nets.
You have 18? That's even better. I have 17.
Yeah, it's 17.5, 18, right? It's just hung around that range.
That's awesome.
But, I mean, yeah, Brooklyn has the two best players in this game, but, like, behind that, Seth Curry's out, Dragic is out, James Johnson probably won't play. So it's going to be like those two and Bruce Brown doing some scoring, maybe Cam Thomas, Drummond. But like, just like Mangone said, Houston's going to play their guys regardless. They were playing Minnesota a couple nights ago. They were down by 20 plus going into the fourth. And with like 5 minutes to go, Jalen Green and them guys stayed out there. They lost the game by 7. Now you're going to give me
Oh
17.
yeah, because we had the prop in that one, right?
Yeah, now you're going to give me 17. So
Yeah.
definitely like Houston side. And Green tied some record where it's like rookies with 30 plus points in straight games.
Mm-hmm.
The only 2 rookies that have done it are now there's 3. There's him, Allen Iverson, and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, awesome.
You know he's gunning for 30 right here to make himself the only rookie to do it in 4 games. So I don't hate doing on FanDuel. You could do the 30 plus points for him, and Houston plus the 17. It gets you like 4-1.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right. I like that too. And Kevin throwing out a good number here. I didn't find this in my stuff, but that's good. Nets.
The Drummond double
24
and win. I don't hate it because he
What
should
is
be able
that
to
though?
he should be able to walk into a double double. I'm looking at it right now. Plus 110. So I mean that knocks all 17 points out of the way. They should be able to win this game.
Yeah. I like both those, but I like this one. The Nets are 4-24 against the spread at home because it helps us out a lot. And then you know what? You talked about Drummond a little bit too, Travis. He doesn't play that many minutes anyways, does he? Like I think when I was looking his stuff up, he only averages like 22 or 23 a game, doesn't he? Or am I wrong about him?
They started getting higher. Let me look.
Because I remember his efficiency was ridiculous because he was getting like 10 boards a game in like 22 minutes or something, right? And if you did the per 36, it was just so high.
So he had a stretch against Charlotte where he played 31, and that game was competitive. 9-point game. That Pistons game was competitive, played 28, and the Milwaukee game was competitive, played 29. So like,
okay, so he's higher.
The Hawks game was, 18 minutes and it was a 7-point game that they were losing. I assume, and when they were trailing, because I remember like I wasn't like totally watching the game, but I was tracking it, right? And my guess is they didn't have Drummond in because they needed 3-pointers because they were down so much. They were just trying to play catch up on them. So it's all situational. I prefer Claxton over Drummond though in this spot. I think Drummond is more pass for it to go wrong based on the price, and I think Claxton has more ways it can go right based on the price. If that all makes sense.
All right, yeah, definitely makes sense. Thank you for that. Let's go to another one where I like the side. Right, we started off slow, but now I got some takes here. Now I got some picks to give to the people. The Charlotte Hornets plus 5.5 in Miami, taking on the Heat, minus 5.5 for the Heat, 227.5 total, plus 192 for the Hornets on the money line. No Eric Spoelstra tonight. And Travis, talk about a wait for the news game for you, right? Because Caleb Martin, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Markieff Morris, Gabe Vincent, and Dwayne Dedmon, all questionable right now. I mean, boy, it's going to make your breakdown tough, but we have an idea of where you're going to go. Tyler, let's start with you because I want to get to the side here. And it's another one like we talked about earlier. I like Miami. Obviously, if all of them out, I feel like I'm screwed. But, if it just half that list plays, I really feel comfortable here. Does the line move? Do I need to bet it now? Do I wait for the news? Is there a chance they all sit? One of the trickiest games on the board. But I want to get involved with Miami somehow.
I can tell you who is sitting.
Who?
Kyle Lowry. Did you look at this injury tag and see what it says?
Old or rest or
overall body soreness.
Oh, that's better than general soreness.
Yeah, that's just old man status right there. So he's not playing tonight.
Yeah.
I think Tucker will sit. I think Martin will play. I think Markieff Morris will play, and I think Vincent will play.
Maybe so I like the 5.5 there. Do I bet it now?
Just up in the air, but I think I like the 5.5. I think they win. I think they cover. I mean, they've just been a tank in their last 5 games. They rank 4th in a field goal percentage, 2nd in 3-point percentage, and then their defense. They rank 3rd in opponent's field goal percentage and 1st in opponent's 3-point percentage. So they're playing great ball on both sides. They still get dominated by centers, so Bam should have a big game here. I don't hate the double and win. And Jimmy Butler should be able to just walk through this defense also. So I like his points plus assists because if Kyle Lowry's ruled out, he's going to basically play point guard.
I think Lowry's out. So Lowry's a guy that I wasn't even counting on playing. That's a great breakdown, Tyler. Travis, of course, we're waiting on this news, but like, how are you approaching it for like potential pivots and just, you're so much more up on this from knowing the Heat. What do you expect? Who do you expect to be in there?
Yeah, the Heat, they are They're never fun to figure out. A lot of questionable tags here. The Kyle Lowry, like if he is questionable, like he's a guy like, okay, like I kind of take it seriously. Like they're probably sitting him. Why would he just randomly pop?
He's going to sit. He's going to sit. So let's just play Lowry's out. But the other 5, I don't know.
His tag's overall body soreness. That old man ain't playing tonight.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, I mean, I know Tucker sat the other game. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat him here. Yeah, I'm trying to just think it through. I mean, Morris makes sense to be a sick candidate. I mean, I don't want to. Thing is, this is why I don't want to play the guessing game, right? Like, let me just like wait until it all happens and figure it out. If a lot of these guys sit, the only problem is like Bam Adebayo makes sense, but you more so want him when Jimmy Butler's out, right? Like, it's like if Bam's out, then play Jimmy. If Jimmy's out, then play Bam. Like both those guys are in. So it's trying to figure out these other pieces. And I mean, Max Struss at 4-3 is definitely in play. Wouldn't hate him. Duncan Robinson, if the 3-pointers fall, sure, you could make sense of that if all those guys are out and they don't have enough wing depth. But the problem is those 3-pointers have to fall, right? That's the other thing you have to debate. Yeah, I mean, Oladipo's minutes just aren't going to be there enough. I mean, he did play 27 last game. I didn't realize he played 27. So if all those wings sat, maybe he'd be in play. I do think if like a Caleb Martin played, like he might get like a ton of minutes, but it's just not a spot I want to load up on. It's just so hard to tell you what to do without the news, right? There's so many guys questionable. But the guy that sticks out the most is Max Struss, is like the safest guy that's like an interesting value play. And then like centers against Charlotte always do pretty well. So you can always make the Bam argument. But again, I like when like one of those guys is out and then I can play him like I mentioned before. And then Charlotte side, like Terry Rozier's price at 7-1 feels cheap. But can I do it? I'm not sure. Gordon Hayward's back. That's going to muddy some things up, even though he only played 16 minutes last game. So overall, I think I'm fading Charlotte, and I'm just waiting for the Heat news. Guy that makes the most sense, though, is probably Max Struss.
All right. Great breakdown there, Travis. We're doing pretty good here. We're powering through this card. We're on the Washington Wizards. Oh, boy. What a joy. Plus 13 in Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. 237.5 is the total. Plus 543. Interesting situation here for Washington. This report isn't as dirty. Let me double check. I didn't have the red on. So Kuzma and Vernon Carey Jr. are out. Malik Beasley probable. Jaden McDaniels is questionable. Patrick Beverly is questionable. This is another one. You know, out of all these big spreads, Tyler, I like the plus 17 with the Rockets the best. 13 here against Washington, and I know they've been playing a little better lately, but still seems like the numbers right. I mean, if anything, you're going to run numbers, and they're going to tell you take the Wizards. But you watch the NBA, you understand the situations, and you just know that really Washington is not that good a team. So, yeah, congratulations to the bookmakers. This was a great line. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, if I had to pick a side, it's probably Minnesota. I think they probably wiped the floor with them. I mean, Washington doesn't have the guards have been beating up Minnesota, and I don't think Washington has the guards to do that. And I don't see Porzingis having a good game against a mobile big man like Cat that's going to be able to stay with him on the outside. But I could see Cat absolutely eating Porzingis up because he'll take him down low and bully him down there too.
Must be fun for Cat to actually be stronger than his opponent.
Yeah, this is one of them few matches where he can look at him like, I'm stronger than that guy.
Yeah.
So I like his points plus rebounds at 35.5. Give me the over there all day.
Okay.
And I like they have his props for his performance doubles listed at 26 plus, 28 plus, and 30 plus points. I'd play all three of those. I think he's going to have a big game here. And Washington, you know how we've talked about teams having other teams' numbers? This is one of them weird matchups where Washington's trend, like they've covered like 10 of the last 15 against Minnesota. So if they keep it close, I could see Cat putting up a monster stat line.
Okay. Travis, how do you approach this one?
Yeah, man, Washington is definitely a team that I'm not excited to roster like ever. Porzingis 8-9 hefty tag. I just don't need to do it here in this spot. I know Minnesota doesn't play a ton of defense and they've been playing faster, but man, I really can't get excited about these guys. Maybe a Rui could, but man, like he has upside at 4-8, but I'm not getting super excited about it. And Timberwolves do play a little bit bigger, but then that matchup's not as easy. It's tough to do. Like Minnesota could obviously do well here, like one of these studs, like D. Russ, Ann Edwards, Towns. All three of those guys are in play. They're similar to like Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, where like, yes, a couple of them can pop off for like a big game, one, maybe two, but you have to play the guessing game. Do you want to play that guessing game on this slate? Is it worth doing? If you do play a Karl Anthony Towns, well, now I can't play a Jokic or an Embiid. Is that worth it? That's some kind of the big questions that you have to ask yourself when trying to make these decisions. D'Angelo Russell at 6'4", shooting guard and point guard eligible. He definitely is upside at the price. I think he's definitely in play. So someone I'm going to be considering on this slate. Upside at that price is good. But again, minutes are there, but can I trust that he's going to be the guy that goes off? I'm not sure. Ant's been playing a lot better. You can always make the argument for him at that small forward position, and he's only 7'5". So I think for me, Edwards and D-Russ are two guys I'm considering in tournaments as guys that fill out throughout my lineups that have a nice ceiling in this spot. But I'm not going on my way for these guys. My lean is probably going Ant too. And the reason why is typically small forward is like not the best position. And even on this slate, it's not incredible. Like Giannis and KD, they're both small forward eligible. Obviously, if you can afford them, that's great. But then it goes like Chris Middleton, who like I'm not excited about at that price. Jimmy Butler with Bam in, I'm not super excited about. Brandon Ingram at 8K. Yes, Sacramento sounds like a great matchup, but like he's kind of similar to the Bulls, like I talked about, and the Timberwolves. It's like who's gonna have the big game? J-Val, Ingram, or McCollum. And you're just dealing with that guessing game doesn't sound fun. Where I think Ant is kind of the guy that I'm liking the most here on this team based on positions.
All right. Hey, that's a good kind of upper mid-range breakdown there, Travis. Thank you for that. The Milwaukee Bucks that you just talked about, Giannis taking his act on the road, -6.5 against the Chicago Bulls. Now, looking at the standings, both teams should want this game, right? Chicago, as I mentioned earlier, tied with Toronto right now, so they didn't want the win. And Milwaukee is tied with Philadelphia, and they're a half game behind Boston, right? So there's a nice little logjam at 2, 3, 4 here that Milwaukee's involved in. And then, of course, the second logjam at 5, 6 with Chicago and Toronto fighting that out, right? So we should get, like I said, not necessarily playoff atmosphere, but both teams should be approaching looking for a win, normal rotations, no real funny business here. Another one that I got to give credit, though, to the bookmakers, right, Tyler, because we love Milwaukee. We like to face Chicago. We love, after every game, their stats against the top teams, whether it's, 0-15 against the top three or, 5-17 against, and I'm going off the top of my head, these aren't, for sure, but, terrible record against teams that are over 500. So we like to face Chicago. We like to take the Bucks, but they put the line right. 6.5 to me is the correct number here. This one screams player performance double, though. If Milwaukee gets a blowout, even better. But if it's real close to that line, I think I'll feel safe with that. So, Tyler, do you have a player performance double for this one? Or are you going to shock me?
I think you're letting the bookmaker win too much spread. You think, that's like 3 games already. We're like, man, he set the line perfect. We can't bet it.
Yeah, like
this team's going to lose by 15 spread. They suck.
You think so?
Yes,
okay.
The Bucks have lost
right
2 games in a row. The Bucks have lost 2 games in a row. They have all their guys on the floor, and Zach LaVine ain't playing tonight.
Okay.
-14.5 plus 250. They're going to beat the hell out of this team. They're going to run them right off the floor.
I just joined you. It doesn't take me a lot to want to.
I got in on it at -4.5 last night. I would keep betting it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll join you there. I had that number right. To be fair, the Bulls are way elevated from their early season success. Travis, Tyler talked me into it. Was I too quick to hit submit? Did you want to talk me into the Bulls?
I did not. This is where Tyler, when he says, I had the number right at 6. You said, well, you were wrong. Like the Bucks are going to crush them. I mean,
they can't set this number high enough.
Man. They're not good. They are so overrated. They literally lose to all good basketball teams. Like, yes, you can make the argument, if Lonzo Ball's there, they'd be much better. But like, how many points better are they? Like, are we really seriously, like, this is such a fake, like, good team. If they make it to the second round, and depending on the first round matchup, I'd be shocked, but I want to know who their first round matchup is before I'm like, sitting here and just betting against them. But I don't like this team. I don't think they're that good. If DeMar DeRozan ends up hitting a bunch of 2-pointers in the fourth quarter to cover, you just take your L and you move on to the next day. I agree with Tyler. I think this is a kind of a blowout. I also like Giannis a lot in this spot. One reason why is I do think the Bulls, they can definitely, like, we were talking about how they're going to blow them out, right? But like, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I like Giannis in games where the teams hang around. And let's say that the Bulls do hang around. Well, Giannis is going to have a huge game then. Let's say that they get blown out, like me and Tyler are thinking right now. Well, Giannis is probably part of that, right? Like, he has a big game. So, like, Giannis just seems like a great idea today as a spend up with all the size, with all the value that we could have as the slate develops. So I really like Giannis here in this spot. He's my favorite Buck. And then on the Bulls side, I know, like I talk about not liking these guys, and with like Levine being out, that is going to make some of these Bulls options in play because they are going to lose a usage guy if he happens to sit. DeRozan, though, he's 8.9K. Do I want to pay 8.9? Vucevic, he's 7.7. That's kind of an intriguing price tag at 7.7. I think DFS-wise, Vucevic could be an interesting play that, like, at that price could pay that off. And he could even put up like 50 fantasy points and they still get like don't cover. So I do think that Vucevic is in play today at 7.7. And I prefer him probably over DeRozan. It always depends on positions, though. That matters a ton because, hey, if you play Jokic or an Embiid, it's like not only one more spot to put up a center. So that could matter a ton. DeRozan, though, I don't love the 8.9 price tag. That's one of the big concerns that I have there. And if you are playing a DeRozan at 8.9, I kind of want Giannis. Like, I think you just want both guys just because, like, if DeRozan goes for like an absolute monster game, I don't see how Giannis doesn't as well. So that's something else I'm thinking about when I'm building out my lineups. But I'm not really looking to play too many Bulls. It's mainly Giannis here as the guy that I'm looking at.
What about Patrick Williams? We the People's bringing him up in the chat.
It's a good call out because he has been better. And not just he's been better, his minutes have been good. And he's only 3.8. And the minutes have been 25, 37, and 30. So listen, I don't hate it, especially if Levine happens to sit. Pat Williams is definitely someone that we should have talked about. So I almost played him the day that the app went absolutely off, and I was like frustrated that I didn't think about it in time. But I know the minutes limit is off. Like, he is like a full go, and they're going to use him in the postseason, right? Like, this is the perfect time to get him run. This is a great game to get him run. It's like a playoff team that he's going up against. So I think Pat Williams is definitely not a bad value play to consider that people might not go to.
One more, Kobe White. This is from Bart.
Oh man, I struggle with Kobe White. Price is definitely good though. It's 3.9.
I think Billy Donovan does too, seeing his minutes.
I mean, the funny thing is, last game he was 0 for 9 from the field and 0 for 7 from 3. The one thing that's nice is this is the Bucks matchup where like open 3-pointers are a thing. You could definitely make worse ideas on this slate if Levine sat, but I think Ayo would be the guy that gets more run than Kobe White. Like, I think they're leaning on him more. The only problem is he's just not as great of a producer, and he's more of like a defender, right? So, like, what is the ceiling there? That's one of my concerns. I just don't know if you want to mess around with, like, Kobe White and Ayo. I think just staying away from those two guys on a 12-game slate makes a lot of sense.
All right. There we go, Bart. Tyler bringing some good knowledge here, and not Tyler from the show, but Tyler Eatwaru in the chat saying Vucevic has gone over 19.5 points plus assists in his last 7 matchups versus Milwaukee and 9 of the last 10. So thank you for that. That's really good as far as prop hunting. And then, of course, that 7,700 price tag. The Portland Trailblazers.
Before we move on, Spread, I got a couple props in that game I wanted to touch on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's get those.
I like Drew Holiday's points plus assists over 26.5. He cleared that in 2 of the 3 games against Chicago this year. The one game he didn't was his second game back from injury. He only played 26 minutes in it. Another thing to back the Milwaukee side also, the last 5 games against top 3 seeds for Chicago, they've lost by 18, 28, 27, 6, and 13. That one game of 6 came against Milwaukee, but Zach LaVine went for 30. He's not going to be there tonight. I don't know where they're picking up that extra 30 points from. So those are some of the ones I'm looking at. And I wouldn't hate doing a Drew Holiday double-double and win, 20-plus points and 3+ threes and win.
All right. We've been doing great on the time. I got to take a quick detour. Tyler, is Drew Holiday the best point guard in the NBA?
No.
Besides Steph.
Oh, because he plays both sides of the ball, so like you can make that argument.
Uh-huh.
So, I'll take Chris Paul over Drew.
So that was the argument I wanted to make when I threw that bait into the water.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like you could say Chris Paul, but like I think Drew's defense is like very underrated. Like it shows in the playoffs, but like right now it's just like, nah, don't need it.
That was going to be the crux of my argument, is that Drew can just stop you at the point of your attack. Travis, before we go to the next day, make the case for Chris Paul better than Drew Holiday.
I mean, he's one of the best point guards to have played. I'm sure there's going to be the dude in the chat that's like, oh, he didn't make any Western Conference Finals till last year, and he got a free walkthrough, like, blah, blah, blah. But Chris Paul's great. I mean, he's phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. He plays both sides of the ball well. One of the best point guards, even late in games too, right? Like, I kind of worry about like Drew Holiday closing a game out. Like do you worry about Chris Paul closing the game out? No, I want him closing the game out.
Okay, that's a good argument.
That is like, I guess like that's the big sacrifice you would make. Like, yes, you could make the argument Drew's defense better than Chris Paul. Fine. Like, I won't push back too much on that. But the big thing that I would argue is Chris Paul being able to like close that game out in the fourth quarter and be that guy. And I don't think Drew can actually do that.
All right.
See, I kind of agree with him with where Mangone said. I think Drew's just in that perfect position where like you have that guy next to you that should be doing that, should be like, give me the ball, let me take over the game, to where Drew can turn around and look at the best guard on the other end and be like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure he doesn't do that for them and let Giannis do it for us and take over the game.
The one thing I'll say with Otter, like he's like, Drew can get a bucket late, similar to Chris Paul. Like if it's one bucket, yeah, I'm not saying Drew Holiday can't get a bucket, but like when you need that guy to carry that load in the 5 minutes and be a star and be that guy, like I don't think Drew can be that. That's the issue. Like that's like the one thing that I'm like arguing. And again, like when you have these arguments of like who you're saying is like better, like, and we're talking about like the top 1% of 1%, like we need to be nitpicky, and that's what I'm nitpicking.
Yeah, and I'd be interested in, and obviously I didn't do that much research, but I'll bet you their advanced stats are pretty close. And Tyler, I got it, not Tyler on the show, Tyler in the chat. Name 5 point guards better than Drew Holiday. There's no way. I can't wait to read this. We'll go on to the next game, and then we might bounce back when I see Tyler's list of 5 point guards that are better. And Luke is a small forward, right? So. I already know who they're going to say too, and JSU is going to kill.
I know 3 of the names.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, okay. Luke is not a point guard, but you got me there. I disagree on Paul, so maybe I should have said, is he the 5th best point guard here?
Tyler, not Tyler. Tyler, in I don't know if that's you in the chat, Tyler, but
no.
My argument would be just the needle spread. I'd say take Luke out and put Tyrese Halliburton in there. Just the needle spread. Don't actually believe it.
Well, we see how well he's doing carrying the Pacers. Okay, you know what? I'm taking back this whole argument. Trey, you guys got good ones here. Is Garland better than Holiday? I don't know. That's a tough one.
I don't trust it. I gotta see him play in big games.
Like people forget. Like so, here's the other thing. People forget, Tyler, and the big game thing. Big games isn't the word I would use, but playoffs, like playoff basketball, is different. Like people forget. Like if you didn't. Like Julius Randle's a great example. I always like the body bag the Knicks, so let's just do it. Julius Randle is a guy that everyone was talking about. Oh, he's so great last year, and then the playoffs come and he just gets absolutely bodied by DeAndre Hunter, and now he's gone. Like he's just terrible now. So like I'm not saying that's gonna happen to Garland. I don't believe that will, but let's see the dude play in the playoffs first. Like that matters. Playoff basketball is way different than regular season.
All right, I'm glad
we've seen Drew take out guys like Dame Lillard, like just right out of a series with his defense. So like when you have that on your team, I think that's a big game changer.
Yeah, I mean he just takes out your other team's opposing guard.
He said Fox is better than Holiday. So
yeah, now you're just messing with me. And Richie, we always give you credit because number one, you remind me to tell people to like the video, which I never do, but you remember to do, so credit to that. But there's no way that De'Aaron Fox, who lets opposing point guards go for like 35 every single night, has never even given. It's absolutely terrible.
We got an arguably LaMelo Ball in the chat better than Drew.
No,
the guy who can't spell defense.
Yeah, and his efficiency isn't even that high. Like he makes cool passes, but there's no way that LaMelo Ball. First of all, is he even a point guard or is he a shooting guard?
I couldn't even tell you.
All right, interesting. Robert says Steph isn't a point guard. Steph has to be a point guard.
Yeah, Steph's
a point guard on like 4 championship teams.
People say he's like a shooting guard because he like shoots. You know, I mean, I don't agree, but I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I think he's a point guard. Dame, all right, I threw him out. I mean, it would be interesting to see if he comes back the same. Ja, okay, I messed that up. Kyrie. I mean, I could really argue defense if I want, but I'm probably going to lose.
But the thing is when Kyrie wants to play defense,
he can. So that's why. But Trey can't. But he's such a good scorer. I'll give you that one, Steph. Fox, no way. Garland.
Tyler Atwood does deserve an apology with all these guys mentioning egregious names in the chat.
You won. Okay, Tyler, you got me there. I meant, is he the 5th best point guard? Ben Simmons. We're not even talking about it.
Shut down for the season. They traded.
We're in the troll section. This is where we move on.
All right, yeah, my bad. We were doing so good on time. I figured we had time for one detour, but we were talking about the Portland Trailblazers,
We're gonna
home of
ball
Dame
up this
Dollar.
game.
Is that what we're gonna do?
That's what
Thunder
I'm doing.
-4, total 221, plus 155. We hate it from betting, but Travis, we can't ignore it from DFS. So why don't we just go straight there?
Yeah, do I really got to talk about this game? Gosh, sure, let's talk about it. Portland, OKC. A game I was hoping to maybe somehow skip, but it's not going to be easy with Brandon Williams questionable. I need to see who's going to be. I mean, Chris Dunn at 4.8 if he is starting, like hard to completely ignore. These prices are getting up there on like these Thunder. Like, can Theo Maledon have a big game? Sure, but he is 7.3. Aaron Wiggins and Vic Krejci, the cheaper guys, feel like the better options maybe to go to here. Drew Eubanks is 7.5. Can you pay 7.5 for his production? I think he could have a big game, but do I want to like really go to Drew Eubanks? I mean, it's just tough to do. Like, he did get 60 against OKC, and let's say I got 45. I'd be pretty happy at 7.5. So there are options to play in this game. I'm not prioritizing these guys, but I'm waiting for the starting lineups. I'm also waiting to see what happens with other values. And then if things kind of don't go right with the way I'm looking for the news to go, then I might fall on a couple of these guys, like maybe a Wiggins, right? At 5K, I think he can get the job done. But I'm going to be smart about how I roster these guys. I'm not just going to slam them in like we have been. The prices have adjusted a little bit, but this is not a game to completely ignore. It feels like more of a game if like I don't get enough news my way, then I'll get a couple of guys or pieces here or there, especially if Brandon Williams is out. If Williams is out and Dunn starts, he's going to become a really good play that you want to get exposure to. The only big thing is, like, is it going to be him or is it going to be Trey Jones? And I think Trey Jones would become a better play than him. And I think I'd lean him over Chris Dunn if the news hit that Williams is out.
All right. Hey, great job for talking about this game because this was tough. Jake says OKC -4.5. Be careful, Jake, because every time they're doing good, they'll just trash their lineup. They'll run some craziness out there in the fourth
like
quarter.
the one.
But Portland's doing the same thing.
The one prop I was looking at in this game spread was Poku's assists. I just couldn't pull the trigger for that reason. Like, I could see them doing that weird thing where come halftime, they're like, yeah, we're not playing our guys for the rest of the game. Like the Magic did a few games ago. So there's no way I'm investing $1.
I mean, this is like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object when it comes to tanking, because both teams have just shown that, like, hey, go out there, get some run in the first half, and if you do good, you're not coming back out there. So I think this is really tough, but the stats are going to be there. Travis, like, what do you think there's a chance there's a player from this game in the winning lineup tonight, right? I mean, there might be even two, right?
No, I mean, there definitely could be a winner from this game in the winning lineup. It's just playing that guessing game is not fun, right? I mean,
it's not.
Keon Johnson at 5K certainly could be in the winning lineup. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be like, okay, like, you absolutely stumped me. I could see him being on it, but you do have to play a little bit of guessing with it. Again, it's not something I'm prioritizing, but there are good plays. Like, I do get concerned though about like OKC just like closing out with like an absolute clown show of a lineup just because they don't want to win the game. You could easily see that. It just could be frustrating. So don't prioritize them like we have been like the last couple weeks. Like, this is a spot where I think you can maybe mix and match guys. I wouldn't even hate putting like a max of one OKC and one Portland on your teams today. I don't think that's like the worst idea. It just depends on how the value shakes out though. Cause like I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with some guys. I think that's super important on this slate.
All right. San Antonio Spurs in Denver taking on the Nuggets. Nuggets -9, total of 234 plus 340 for the Spurs on the money line. Tyler, you said I was being too nice to the books earlier. I'm not here. I'm going to take a side, and it might be the opposite side as you. Actually, I don't know. I don't know where you're going to land on this one. I like the Spurs though, +9. Superstar subtraction here. DeJounte Murray's out. It gave me a couple extra points against a team that's going to struggle to cover. You want to know why? Because this team is absolutely terrible every time Jokic comes to the bench. So even if they're up by 12 when he goes to the bench, they're probably going to be down by 5 or 6 by the time he comes back in. That's a lot to cover against the San Antonio team that's really been going. And it's not like they're sitting Murray on purpose. The guy's, really, really sick right now. He would be out there if he could. We're going to get full effort. This is a team that wants to knock LA out of the playoffs. And with a win tonight, I think that they actually achieved that here. Will they be able to get the win? I'm not sure. Probably not, but I do think they keep it close. I do think they cover the +9. What do you think, Tyler?
We're on the same side. Spread, give me the +9. I thought it was too
All right.
many points at 7. I thought this game should be lined at 5, even with Murray out. The Spurs need this game a bit more than the Nuggets do. I mean, you look at the standings. The Nuggets are 15 and a half games back. Well, in front of them's the Mavericks, who's 13 and a half games back with, 4 games to play? Probably not catching them unless they dud out a couple games. The Jazz are a half game back of them, and they're stumbling, and they're in a bad spot tonight. So I could see them taking a loss. So, and then you look at the Spurs, 2 games ahead of the Lakers, who are fighting for that last spot. They win here, they eliminate them. And because we all know the Suns are going to take care of business tonight. I'm going to have to side with the Spurs +9. I think the Nuggets still win the game, but I would not be surprised to see the Spurs give like a nice effort and pick up like a 3-point win. So definitely the +9.
We both like the Spurs. Travis, you going to join us?
Yeah, the Spurs is definitely a good side to be on. I think that 9 is a lot. I'm not a big believer in the Nuggets as a whole right now. They're limping their way through this, to the postseason. Yes, I mean Jokic is great. Love him in DFS, but betting wise, I don't mind being on the Spurs side with you guys. I do think this is a good spot for Jakob Poeltl and Keldon Johnson, both good mid-tier options. Like Vassell, like Trey Jones, probably one of the best values on the slate. And Lonnie Walker at 4K, good usage off the bench. So don't ignore him. He's definitely someone else that I'll be looking to get some exposure to on this slate. Has that shooting guard eligibility as well, which is nice. I do think that on the Nugget side, it's mainly Jokic or bust for me. I don't really want to jam in too many other guys. Maybe a Will Barton at 5'7". Like, he has a nice ceiling. He could get there, but not something I'm like prioritizing in my lineups. It's really Jokic and like Trey Jones, like the 2 guys I'm looking at the most, and then like Keldon Johnson, Pirtle, and then like Lonnie Walker. But starting lineups are super important with the Spurs, so let's wait and see that. But definitely a good game to get some good values on, and a good game to do a run back with Jokic on.
All right. I'm glad that we all like the Spurs
With this,
here.
with us liking the Spurs here, Spread, the one prop I like, Jokic's points plus rebounds are set at 42.5.
Mm-hmm.
If they keep this game close, he's going to post a monster number against Poeltl. That 42.5 is too short. He might get 30 plus points and 17 plus rebounds. Like, he could clear 50 with that. Yeah. So, I mean, he could triple double in a loss too, but
yeah,
I like the points plus rebounds over 42.5 on him.
Great prop there. Great prop there. What do you think about this one from our guy George? He says Keldon Johnson over 30.5 point rebounds and assists.
I like that also, because we talk about this Nuggets team in defending.
Mm-hmm.
They can't defend wings, and he's the best one the Spurs have right now. So he could put up 30 real points to where you only need 1 rebound or 1 assist. So definitely like that over 30.5 on Keldon Johnson.
He's gonna get a good amount of minutes too, and his usage is gonna be good. Like they kept him and Trey Jones separate the other day, which I thought was good for him, like just overall DFS wise. So yes, Pirtle's back, so that'll kind of like muddy it up some, but like it was nice to keep like that they took Trey Jones off first, and then they had Keldon Johnson kind of not by himself, but he was definitely with some guys that you were like, okay, doesn't make a lot of sense. And like, yes, Lonnie Walker will be back to obviously take away some usage from some of those guys, but I'm not too worried. Keldon's gonna have a really nice workload tonight.
Great question in the chat. How heartbreaking would it be if Tyler backs our MVP and Jokic lets him down?
Well,
how bad is it going to be? Are we ever going to hear the end of it? He doesn't think we will.
No, probably not, but he hasn't won it yet.
I need Tyler just to do a heel turn out of nowhere, just jump on the Jokic train and start bashing Embiid, and then Jokic wins the MVP. That would be what I want to do. That's what I want in my life.
All right. Well, we'll have to give him like 30-1 on a ticket, and he'll do it, and he will do it. All right. So I definitely like that Jokic prop, and I'm in there with you on the +9. The Memphis Grizzlies are now +6 in Utah, taking on the Jazz. Total 226, +202. I'll be quick here. We're getting towards the end. I like the Grizzlies. The Jazz lost 6 of the last 7. The Grizzlies won 7 in a row. Yes, the Grizzlies are missing Ja. Yes, Dylan Brooks will sit tonight. A bunch of people probable. Did any of that change? No. So we're good here. We see Steven Adams in, Jaren Jackson and Tyus Jones in, Desmond Bane in. That is enough for me to take the Grizzlies to at least keep this close. +6. I mean, Utah. I mean, I'll just throw this over to you, Tyler. What was the stat you sent me on how much time Donovan Mitchell passes to his buddy Rudy Gobert?
He passed it like if you break down the stats here, I'll go back and look at it exactly. But
It
the
was
stat breaks down to where he passes the ball to the other team more than he passes.
Yeah,
to
he
Gobert.
averages 3 turnovers and 2.3
Yeah,
passes to
here it
Gobert
is.
per game.
Mitchell averages 2.3 passes to Rudy Gobert a game this season. He also averages 3.0 turnovers. So basically, Mitchell is passing to the other team more than he passes to Gobert.
Yeah, and we were talking about it before, right? That he'll be switched onto some guy that's like my size, right?
I mean, he sealed Clay off in the restricted area in that game the other night, and he passed it to Mike Conley, and Conley passed it right back to Mitchell. Yeah, so they didn't even look at him.
I think this team's on the way down. I think one of the two is on the way out this summer. If I was Utah, I would actually trade Mitchell because I don't think Gobert gets you a return commensurate to what he's actually worth. And I think
no, I would call the Knicks and be like, you want this guy so bad, just give us everything. Because they want Donovan Mitchell. You do not want Dallas calling for Rudy Gobert and be like, here's a first round pick and some role. Here's Brunson in a first.
28. Yeah. For one of the best defensive players in basketball, whether or not you like him or
and then when he gets into Luka's hands, he'll average 20 and 20.
Yeah, he probably would, huh? All right, Travis. We both like Memphis Grizzlies +6 here. And
I like the money line too. I think they win this game.
I think this game's wrong. I mean, I think Utah could just kind of go out with a whimper, and then whether Donovan does it publicly or not, but it's like, bro,
they have the defenders to slow him down. Like Adams will keep Gobert like at will. They have the better bench than Utah. Like, yeah, I think they win this game here.
They're gonna look so much more faster and athletic. Okay, Travis, we both like Memphis. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Utah sucks. Like, I'm out. I like the Memphis.
I think Donovan's out too.
What?
Donovan's out too. I think he's just like you. This sucks. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't. I'm like, dude. Like, does anyone really want to stay in Utah? Like,
who would you trade if you're the front office?
Like, who are you trading for, or what?
If you're the front office and they're both pissed off and they're both like, one of us has to go. If you're that guy making that call, who you trading?
Well, you try to trade Rudy, but like the problem is like, what are you getting back for him? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I would try to get out of Rudy, but I don't know. Utah, it's not a bad idea for them to hit like a pretty hard reset. I wouldn't be shocked if Quinn Snyder like replaced Popovich in San Antonio soon. So like, that's another thing that could be happening.
They said he's one of the Lakers guys for when Vogel gets fired here in a week.
We'll see if that
does he want to be LeBron's assistant? I don't know.
Yeah, Quinn doesn't seem like that guy that wants to go and do that. But yeah, overall, I like what you guys said about Memphis. I like betting the side. I like betting the money line. I think that's a great call. I really don't like anyone DFS wise that much. Like, you could make an argument Ty Jones at 6K could have a pretty good game, but like not someone to go out of my way to roster. Just not an exciting DFS game, so we can cross it off for DFS.
All right, let's move on. Sounds like we all like the Grizzlies. New Orleans Pelicans -7.5 in Sacramento against the record-setting Kings. That's right. They missed the playoffs more times, more consecutive years than any team in NBA playoff history. Now they're catching 7.5 at home. Total of 224.5. That's low for a Kings game. Plus 289. Tyler, I'm not getting involved on the side. I'll just take the over. Why is a King game in the 220s?
Yeah, I mean, that's really low.
New Orleans is scored 70 in the first half.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at some of these performance doubles, I mean, CJ McCollum, 25 plus points, plus 170. Brandon Ingram, 25 plus and win, plus 150. Those would be some of the CJ McCollum, 30 plus and win, plus 390. Those would be some of the ways I'd get on this game because I don't see them losing this game. They need this game. Sacramento's out. They have no reason to win this game. Davion Mitchell had a nice little run where he scored a bunch of points, but he's just completely lost the shot the last couple games. So I just don't know where their scoring's come from. If Joe Val's on the floor, he's going to eat him up down low. His double-double and win could be a play. It's not listed right now, but he's in there. He's going to eat him up. So give me New Orleans here if I'm taking a side minus the 8.
Does your book have first half team totals?
Yeah,
I don't have it, but I would love if it's correlated to the 116.
Which one are you looking for? Which side?
Pelicans first half team total.
56.5.
Smash.
You like that one?
Smash. How is it so low? Their team total for me is 116.
Let me see what
I got that too. I'm on both those. All right, Travis, while I'm placing these bets, what do you think?
Yeah, place that bet if you like. I'm not super excited about this game. I will say Valanciunas sits. Like, there's reason to be excited about Larry Nance. I don't think Willie Hernangomez would be a bad play if he was starting, but I don't know if he'll for sure start. I wouldn't be surprised if they went with like a Hayes Nance combo. That wouldn't be the worst idea. But the Hernangomez thing could be in play, but you have to backload for it. And like, do I want to backload for it on this slate? I don't know if I want to. That's one of the worries. So also think that on the King side, like Davion Mitchell at 7'9", he's going to play 40 minutes. So he's not a bad play. I wouldn't completely ignore him here. And like CJ at 8-7, if Valanciunas sat, I think there's good opportunity for him and Brandon Ingram, but you just have to have that news. And I don't know how much I want to plan for that. That's the issue here on this slate with this team. So not really looking to jam guys from this game. We can talk about the last one.
All right, and Tyler wants to know, Tyler Atwater, we got to figure out a way so you don't look up every time I put him in the chat. Spread, is it true the Sonics won a playoff more recently than the Kings? As Kurt Angle says, it's damn true, and it's unfortunate as well. All right, I got to get back to the schedule because I was hunting team totals for halftime. Los Angeles Lakers, oh boy, what a game to end on. What a game to end on. Not only for our show today, but just for watching the NBA tonight. The Phoenix Suns minus 12 here. 233 is the total, plus 528. And Travis, I know you're a little down on the weather because we haven't even used the R word yet on today's show. But I got to ask you, does this qualify? You got to be pissed off if you're the Suns and you hear Anthony Davis, what was it, about a week and a half ago? Well, everyone knows if I was healthy, we would have won. Wait, what? Everybody knows that, huh, buddy? Everybody knows that. This qualifies as revenge, right, Travis?
Yeah, sorry, I was busy getting a message on Discord. What is the revenge you're talking about here? What's the angle?
Anthony Davis came out a week and a half ago, said, if I was healthy, everybody knows that we would have beat Phoenix last year. Everybody knows that.
I mean, I don't know if that's a fact, but it definitely would have helped. Also, like, if I was healthy,
it would have helped. But I mean, would you even be surprised if they lost?
No, I wouldn't have. I was a little worried about them like being healthy, but the other problem is like if you're healthy, it's like cool, dude. Like you're never healthy. Like cool, great. Yeah, dude. If I was 7 feet tall, I'd play basketball probably. Like
I was gonna use that one. Nice.
I would have I would have been in the gym when I was younger and like really gotten good at basketball. But you know what? I'm not 7 feet tall, Anthony Davis, so I couldn't do that. So I don't know. I don't agree with him on that. He's just being a clown. But Anthony Davis at 9K, it's a good price tag with no LeBron there. Let's at least call that out. You expect him to have to play a ton in this game.
But if he's in the locker room in the first half, you're screwed.
That's true. But 36 and 34 minutes the first couple of games, like that's something I would not completely ignore. Like if I told you DeMar DeRozan 8-9 or Davis at 9K, I'm leaning Davis at 9K for sure.
I'll take DeRozan. I want to play it safe.
See, you don't want to win then, I think, Spread. You're afraid to lose.
I am afraid.
I think that Davis would be the way to go. Okay. But I mean, obviously Levine, we don't know his status. But the point I'm getting is I think Davis is not a bad play. Better than Westbrook for me. Not excited about a lot of these other guys. And then on the Sun side, like, I mean, Chris Paul at 8-2 definitely could get there, right? If this is a national TV game, it might be, but assuming it could be the TNT game, you can always see Chris Paul show up for those. But there's just better ways I want to spend my money today. That's kind of one of the problems with Chris Paul. So not too excited about this game DFS-wise as I thought I might be. It's just not a super appealing game, even though LeBron is out. I just think like with those two guys in, it hurts those value plays too on the Lakers.
All right, and Travis and I will have a side bet for DeRozan versus Davis fantasy points tonight. Tyler, what are your thoughts here, man? I'm almost not afraid to lay it because I just feel like Phoenix is going to put them on him.
There is one word to describe this game tonight, Spread.
What?
Murder. They are going to beat the hell out of this team. Devin Booker's on rested legs, Ayton on rested legs. We know CP3's petty. They know if they watch the Spurs put up a good game, if they go on the floor tonight and the Spurs are winning, they know that they have their fate in their hands. They're going to punch them right in the mouth and end them. Booker 40+ is 11-1. I think there's a good chance he does put up 40+ points here because he was the guy the question was directed at in the media, and he laughed about it and said, what do you say, like bullshit talks? So I could see him coming out and just lighting LA up. His 4+ threes and win is plus 340. I'll be playing that. They have him listed at 28+ and win at plus 130. I like that. And his 30+ and win is listed at plus 200. I'm going to be playing all of those. I think he absolutely lights them up tonight. I would bet it up to like -19 if you like alt spreads. If you don't, lay the 12. They're going to win by at least 15.
I mean, I thought Booker was good, to not mention the fact that Chris Paul was playing like with an arm that couldn't even move up. Didn't he have a shoulder or a hand and something in there?
Yeah,
He wasn't even able to shoot.
Yeah, remember after AD went down, they caught him with like a weird pick and he blew his shoulder out.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
that was literally like, that team just tries to be more and more unlikable. I am sorry, Jonathan Nelson, but I have to throw that in there. Travis,
Yeah, they said what he put in the chat. He said if my aunt had something in between her legs, then she'd be my uncle. So what are we talking about? Yeah, so we all know Devin Booker's coming out pissed tonight.
Yeah, so and rightfully so. Travis, we are making great time tonight. We're going to get you out of here in time for the Hardwood Live show on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. And then, of course, members will be able to watch the Up to Lock show on runpuresports.com. Promo code GETBETS. Your best bet. Travis, what is it?
Oh man, there's so many. There's a lot of good ones for sure.
It's a great night, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
they came back strong
night for sure on the bet side, I would say. Let's see which one I want to pick of all the ones we've talked about. I'm gonna go with the Memphis one. I don't know. It's hard to not bet on Memphis right now, so I'll go with them getting the 6.
All right, sounds good. I love that play. Tyler, what do you got?
He took the Memphis one.
Yeah.
Give me Milwaukee. They're going to win by 10 plus here.
Milwaukee by 10 plus. All right.
You could take a -6.5, but they're going to win by 10.
All right. Let's see. What did you guys leave for me then? I'll take the Raptors -4 and move to 4.5 while we're talking. I still like it. I think they're much better than the Hawks. I'm not worried about Anunoby being out. So maybe did Anunoby get rolled in? Is that why that moved? I think it would have moved a little more.
I should call it if Bogdanovich sits. Dude, this is gonna be a 6 spot for Trey and DeLon Wright. I talked about him a little bit, but and hey, DeLon Wright revenge game spread, right? Isn't he a former Raptor?
I think so. I think he went Raptors, Kings.
Yeah.
Raptors, Pistons, Kings.
Yeah, former Raptors. So there you go. There's your revenge take before you get on out of here.
All right.
Right, revenge.
Yeah, and Gregory Russo is so happy that we are talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Tyler, the great pick here too. Tyler Atwaru. I got to think of another name for you. What are you using in the Discord? And I'll start using that one. That way I don't confuse my wonderful co-host. So, Tyler, we made it through. Any words of wisdom before I have Travis sign us off?
No, I got the parlay for us though.
Oh, duh. Okay, I'm sorry. I was worried. Travis is going to be late, but the people are here for the parlay. Definitely give that out.
25-1. Devin Booker to hit 4+ threes and Phoenix wins. Mm-hmm. Fred VanVleet 20+ points and Toronto wins. Cat 26+ points and Minnesota wins.
All right, I like that. I'm gonna have to place those individually because I'm not allowed to parlay them on my book. Travis, great content and Run Pure Sports this week. Give them a quick breakdown and then head over to Hardwood Live.
Yeah, we're doing the Hardwood show here coming up. Masters this week. We got a code Masters50, get you 50% off for all the sports, one price. Don't miss out. So much going on over here. I'll be talking about on the Hardwood show. And don't miss out on the premium show too with Big TJSU and Glock leading you up to lock.
All right, very succinct. Great show today, Travis. A lot of information there for everyone to make their lineups. Tyler, I think we found a bunch of winners. We will recap them all tomorrow on the show. Travis, thank you for joining us. Enjoy that time on the show this afternoon. I hope everybody tunes in to the Hardwood Live on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Tyler and I will be back tomorrow. Run Pure.